Hello everybody, welcome back to our Crypto Spiritual Weekly, the energy update for people who are interested in the cryptocurrency sphere and financial markets. My name is Jona Bryndis, airing here from Florida. transCODES is the proud sponsor of this Crypto Spiritual Weekly, and those of you who are following me probably know that I set out last week I was sick, which turned out to be actually kind of like the right thing to do, to lean back and to watch the volatility unfolding, and what comes out of this. So we've gone through a bit of a gut-wrenching market movement here in those last 2 weeks, and not necessarily because things crashed, although many of the altcoins and Bitcoin as well lost, way over 20%. But if you look closely, it's actually been a sideways movement. The only thing that has significantly or was significantly reduced was the market cap. And this is something I would like to talk to you about. But first of all, thank you for coming. We always have this little delay here with YouTube, so for the first minute or so, I don't know who's watching. So I want to encourage you to text me here what country you are watching from, and also just send your greetings. It always feels encouraging for YouTubers to feel that there's other people there. All right, so the biggest question here of these last 2 weeks is there market manipulation? And let's look into all these different things that have led to some of these sideways, up and down movements here. Okay, we've had a lot of FUD, Korea, Japan, things, regulations trying to come in, rumors. Then DFUDs. We've had a bunch of hacks. Binance, actually the most popular exchange right now, was victim of that 2 weeks ago. And I'm going to talk about this as well, because there's a technical thing with that, why you need to watch out sometimes and not leave your coins at exchanges, but also some sort of rules of good behavior. We had probably the most significant or most overt attempt to manipulate the Bitcoin price by the Mt. GOX trustee selling off massive amounts, which at a Wild West state that the crypto market is still in, led to, a fear, a sell-off fear, that is very common when volatility hits the market. And we also, don't forget this, we're also in a place now where smart money is moving into the cryptocurrency sphere. And for those of you who have played around with stocks a bit, and perhaps even IPOs, 2 or 3% is about the max of volatility that you can expect in the stock market, unless some big news hit the mainstream. So these extreme ups and downs are not of the liking for the smart money. However, there is an indication, and that leads to the manipulation and to the conspiracy theory rumors, that this is indeed actually the beginning of a massive run on cryptocurrencies. Because if you actually observe the cryptocurrency market and you read the news in some of these news cryptocurrency news outlets that I've mentioned before, and I've put some here in the link below, and then you can see that the adaptation rate now is really going fast. We have really big companies moving into blockchain technology, and not just on their name, but also starting serious projects. And for someone like myself, who's been observing the market for years and who has actually seen different or similar movements in other markets, innovative markets. For me, this is a clear sign, guys. We are right at the end of this gut-wrenching loop that started by the end of November or the beginning of December last year. And as I was just doing the collective energy update for empaths and energetically sensitives, I was talking about a cycle, a loop that started by the end of September. And it's funny, I also talked about déjà vus and why it feels like we have this constant back and forth, and why it feels like things are repeating and they're getting actually boring, which is, of course, why so much market cap has left the market, yeah, since December, the beginning of December. I mean, we were at like $830 billion in market capitalization, and now we're at like 360 or 370. So we lost more than half of the enthusiastic money flowing into cryptocurrencies at that time when all the good news was spreading. Now we've gone through this refinement process that I've talked about, and since then, and this is what I noticed with the collective energies, and remember, the way I come up with these barometers is not based on stats or technical analysis. I do these two to verify some of the things that I feel or that come in here through energetically sensitives and visionaries working with me here at transCODES, but also the seeing programs, seeing codes in that. And you may call that a special ability that I have, although I teach people how to do this, so it can't be that it's just me. But there is indeed a loop that was in place from the end of September, beginning of October till now, and it's ending next week, guys. So I have a lot of indicators here, psychic or not, woo-woo or not, okay, confirming that this here is the last week of this back and forth. Now, does this mean forever? Of course not. But the back and forth in that forward, backward movement. So we can look at what we all saw for the beginning of December as the future for 2018, at a massive run on cryptocurrencies here, starting by the end of March, the beginning of April. And the way I see this will not end until the end of June, maybe middle of July. Then we'll probably see a little bit of a dip until September again. And then we can hopefully plan our BTC 100K parties for the end of the year. So you can see I'm very motivated. There's a lot of new energy coming in, and it is understandable that this volatility has made people frustrated, have made them flee the cryptocurrency market. And I hope you guys were not one of them selling your Bitcoin, your Litecoin, or any of your altcoins, because this is the second chance now, guys. I mean, we haven't really gained a lot if you look back to the end of September, but there is something very important that happened in these past 6 months, and that is building a proper foundation, building the outer limits, you know, like weeding out all the shitcoins, weeding out all the scams, beginning to being taken seriously by the regulators. You know, we've had the SEC and the CFTC meeting this week, and you know, you have the SEC, you know, trying to prove that cryptocurrencies are securities, which would put them into the category of stocks, and would also have to be handled that way and regulated that way. And you have the CFTC, you know, who sees them as an innovation, who sees them as a tool and more as a commodity, if at all. And there were countries such as Germany, for instance, who are seeing cryptocurrencies currently and treating them legally like a currency. And this would be of advantage for the market. However, in the big picture, it wouldn't really matter that much. So just so you know, these regulations that are coming in now, as soon as they reach a level of sort of coherence, yeah, internationally, are good for the crypto market, because this allows for a more stable and for a more mainstream adaptation. So we're actually moving into new levels of adaptation here, and what we have been going through is a time of learning and a time of higher levels of integrity. I remember when I did my first free crypto workshop here for Sacred Self-Healing members at transCODES. That was in October. I remember what we said about the crypto market and how it's Wild West, and how it's best to learn and observe, and to get into that place that you're actually able to make good decisions. This is here now probably the last week of that kind of notion. Starting next week, or the beginning of April, guys, get ready. And for those of you who don't need any convincing about the crypto market, guys, don't feel like pushed into a corner. Go forward. Accept Bitcoin and Litecoin and Ethereum as payment for your services, for your businesses. This is what this is all about now, okay? So the main adaptation will come in when there is actually a use for all these cryptocurrencies, and it will also help to convince the regulators that we're dealing with a currency, that we're dealing with something that can be transformed, at any point in time. And if there so happens to be an increase in value in the meantime, oh well, then that is either lucky or unlucky for the one who bought or sold something at a specific time. But the whole point being, tax-wise and regulation-wise, is that if Bitcoin and co, so to speak, if they remain just sort of theoretical currencies, we're not going to really get to that place that we are foreseeing, and that is that people are actually using it to liberate themselves from the monopolization that is going on in the banking, in the insurance, and especially, as you know, the data storage industry. And we've had a few things here this last week, that are very strong indicators of what all this fight and this FUD is really about. Guys, this is about the SWIFT system being replaced, and if you don't know what that is, that it has to do with how the big banks do international money transfers, and there's a huge amount of money in that. Not only do we pay horrendous fees, we also have to wait 24, 48 hours to get our money, sometimes even days or weeks, on a worldwide level. And so this is about liberation. This is about getting the middleman out of the picture. This is about decentralization. This is about re-owning our data. This is about a lot of integrity stuff that allows us as humans to better deal and more responsibly deal with technology. And that's why I talked about artificial intelligence last time, guys, because we will have the exact same issue with virtual reality and artificial intelligence if we don't step up as the consumers, who are the ones who determine the demand. Then all this will end up in the hands of these monopolized institutions again. So this is what this is about. This is why people like myself and all these wonderful YouTubers, influencers and innovators, why they're stepping forward. And what happened here last week was that Google announced that they're going to stop any ads for cryptocurrencies starting in June, at a time when there are meetings, government meetings to discuss regulations. Guys, this is a big chess game here, okay? And this FUD then has led to the most recent here in the last couple of days, a decline in Bitcoin prices, and the market cap. All right, but if you look at what's really behind that, it's shutting these influencers, including myself, I've told you before, I've had massive issues with Facebook, which is why I do YouTube Live now. And I could foresee this months back already, which is why I separated the crypto spiritual from transCODES. I used to do these crypto spiritual updates within the weekly energy update, and I realized that Google, and with it also YouTube, maybe not in this sort of non-qualified way as Facebook does it, will shut the people down, like myself, like Cliff High, like all these influencers in the crypto market. So this is happening, and you have to understand that this is the reason why people like myself are still, drumming here, because it's more than just about making money. And so coming back to that loop that I mentioned, from end of September, October last year to now, the main thing now is to reflect on what have we learned. And yes, hey Australia, you guys are forerunners right now in accepting cryptocurrencies as legal currencies. Yes, and hey, Trinidad, not sure about the crypto market in Trinidad. But talking about countries, you'll find that there's a lot of different countries who have moved forward into, announcing or considering turning their government-issued currency into a cryptocurrency version. And there's a lot of reasons why they do this. You have to understand that for third and second world countries, this would be an opportunity that was never there before, namely to get foreign funds, foreign money into their country. But there was also, like Ivan on Tech explained, the issue for some of the real progressive countries, such as Sweden, that has developed into a cashless society. And the government has just recently noticed that if there is actually a national crisis, all money transfer and transactions would be in the hand of a few private banks, a few private organizations. And so it can be useful for a government to think about these things for national security, really. And of course, there's also the not so integrous reason to convert your currency into a cryptocurrency, and that would be to hedge some of the decline. And this is something that will most likely happen in the US as well. The actual value, the hyperinflation of the national currency. All right, so keep in mind here that this is a much, much bigger movement than just about getting rich and having a Lambo. All right, and stay with me here when I keep saying, hodl, or this is a great opportunity to buy. Right now is a wonderful second chance, guys. And those of you who weren't there yet in October, you may have wallets now. You may have tried BINANCE or any of these exchanges and feel a bit more familiar with this. This is the time. All right. Now, what else happened in the last 2 weeks? There is these hacks that are being announced, and I want to explain this real quick, because they call everything hack, okay, but it's not always a hack. Well, there are some smart software coders, who figured out that they can mine cryptocurrencies through highly frequented websites, even Google. And so, you hear about these mining hacks, and what this means is that they've just found a way to get entry to the basically the usage of these websites, and secretly sort of use your phone or your computer, to mine. From a software developer standpoint, I would say that this is it's of course not integrous to do, but it's not, to my knowledge, actually illegal at this point, yeah? So nobody's taken anything away from you other than processing power, and if you had issues with your computer lately, that it was going really slow, or that your CPU was used in an unusual way, then it's probably a good time to run a few of your security updates, and maybe get an antivirus checker, if you don't already have, or worst case scenario, wipe it clean. Those things can happen, and I expect them to continue to happen. Okay, now when it comes to actually hacks that take coins away from people's wallets, obviously that is like stealing. And there were some interesting things that happened here. Sometimes I get fascinated by the creativity of these hackers. All right. There was something that can happen actually at any time, and that is, if you allow your wallet or your portfolio tracker to get access to your exchange, like say Coinbase or Bittrex, and you install so-called APIs that allow that portfolio tracker to just simply update whenever you do a trade, so that you save time, then you're literally giving away your password. That's how you have to look at this. And so it's not surprising that there was a hack here a while back, like a week ago, where, and this is actually kind of funny because it sort of backfired on the hackers, where they made people convert their Bitcoin into another coin, and then people were forced basically to sell something for another coin. So that's a creative. It's of course not legal, and therefore not acceptable. But I want you to understand that every time you give away your private key, and every time you install APIs in your wallets, in your portfolio trackers, you are opening a door. So don't do this. If you don't know what a portfolio tracker is, then don't worry about it. If you have one and you used an API to get all your trades, like say from last year in, then do that, but then terminate it. Okay, do it once and then terminate it. So you sit in there importing all the trades that you had, and then you delete the API again. That would be my recommendation. But as always, everything that I'm saying here is, of course, not financial advice or any kind of advice, just sort of my own experience and that of others. Now, what else is going on? Binance actually, maybe as a result, you don't know, but they have actually made a really cool announcement this week, and they're moving towards a decentralized exchange. Personally, I've been favoring Binance anyway, and this gives them a lot of credibility in my eyes. It has security issues when they basically do their own blockchain. They're in better control of that, so stuff like this API hack can't easily happen again. But it also shows that they're understanding the spirit of crypto here. Like the decentralized application where it is not in the hands of a few, but basically publicly retraceable. That things that we've talked about, what the blockchain can provide. So that's a good thing, and I would have a look at the Binance coin if I were you, because it looks like with their balance between a user-friendly interface and also applying good technology and having a good team there, that seems really promising for me personally. The same tendency is there with ICOs. Many of you have noticed that it has gradually become harder and harder to actually sign up for ICOs because of the know your customer process, the KYC, where all these countries, including the US, that are on the list of you can't really sell ICOs here. have been removed from the ICO investment list unless you are an accredited investor or are willing to put in a significant amount of money. And so it has reached a point where more than 80% of the ICOs that are out there in the cryptocurrency market are not even available for us $50 investors. Okay, and so this has to change. And so there's a movement now towards decentralized ICOs, DICOs. Okay, keep an eye on that keyword. Also, another thing that is happening with Coinbase, also reading the times, the sign of the times, obviously, is that they have moved into the direction of literally working together with the banks. So they were accepted basically as a bank in the UK. That's a huge thing. And they've also managed to convince, and this is actually really cool, and I'm very curious how this is going to evolve here in the United States, to integrate a hedge fund into Coinbase. So this is the wedding between the stock market and the cryptocurrency market that Coinbase is trying to do there. And we don't know yet how this is all going to play out, but I'm sure we're going to see a lot of that in the future, also with a lot of these payment services and cryptocurrency credit cards that have been shut down in the last months. This is big, guys. This is like the big guys fighting over market segments here. So keep an eye on that. In the end, it will all be good for us because it makes it more acceptable, and it leads us to, the next level of adoption, and that's what we need to reduce the volatility. One more thing that I want to bring in here is, don't buy into all the distraction that is going on, okay? This is not just about FUD. This is about distraction that leads to accepting certain things as normal, okay? I mean, if you are of the younger generation, if you are a millennial, you already have a good fuck you code in you, but most of us older people, we are so used to things going in a certain way that we never really question it. And there's so much going on politically right now, that creates like just a massive delusion here of what should be normal and what should be integrous. So guys, if I get banned for saying these things here on YouTube, so what? But just take everything with a grain of salt, guys. This is the crypto technology is the future amongst other technologies, but out of that, like I've said so many times before, in only 2 years' time, you'll look back and you'll think, oh my God, I can't believe I bought into all this bullshit. All right, this is the war on market segments that you are witnessing right now. And my suggestion to you is show all that your finger, see the larger picture, begin to use cryptocurrencies, even if you don't have, many applications at this very moment, then at least accept cryptocurrencies and dawdle, hodl and dawdle. All right. And this week, again, this is not financial advice, but maybe a wonderful opportunity for you to get a second chance. And those of you interested in webbot predictions, Cliff High has issued his newest crypto report here for March through May, called Whiz Bang. And if you don't know what that is, it's a predictive linguistics, as he called it. He has webbots that measure sort of the emotional value of linguistics used on the internet. It's actually almost exactly what I do, except for I do this with the more subjective forms of emotional energy. And he creates sort of forecasts out of that. So very recommendable. Also here in the description, you will find a few tips of sites that I find useful for research. So use these new levels of learning, these new levels of integrity, new levels of adaptability now. You know, if you haven't watched any of these free webinars that I've made about, you know, like really for beginners, how to just sort of get an idea of the terminology and all that, and how to do things, how to open up a wallet, then start now, because this is a second chance, guys. All right. So good to have you here, London, Australia. Wonderful. Thank you for coming. And I see you next week, same time. And if you are interested in where I get this data from that I report about, besides, of course, the things that actually happened, then tune into the energy update for the collective energy update for empaths and energetically sensitives here at transCODES. Bye bye, everyone.